Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of WrestlePurists Worldwide. We're going to talk about a few injuries that have been going on, wrestling in general over the weekend, and all that good stuff. I'm joined by Joe Hulbert, Manny. Backup Hangman was here, but I think he just lagged out of the StreamYard. But he'll be back. And yeah, man, let's dive straight into it. So, Rey Mysterio is
He's pretty good, right?
yeah, everyone's one of my personal favorites, at least. A lot of people's favorite. He is injured, so he was replaced in the World Cup tournament that SmackDown's currently doing, and we didn't know why. We have friends that were very mad about it all. But, yeah, so he didn't appear on the World Cup bracket. He was replaced by Mustafa Ali. We didn't know why. I can just hear Manny's dog.
I know. Now you brought it up. Now you brought it up. I could just hear just like now. Sophie, wake up. Sophie, wake
So
up.
yeah,
Fucking amazing.
yeah, we're off to a flaming start.
Wake up.
But yeah, Rey Mysterio, he wasn't in the World Cup. He wasn't in the SmackDown World Cup, unfortunately. He was replaced by Ali. We didn't know if he was injured, if he was just replaced because of booking or whatever it was. And yeah, since then it's been reported that he was seen backstage in Indianapolis for SmackDown with a walking boot on. And the word is that apparently he's going to be out for a few weeks. It isn't anything too major, reportedly, but yeah, he's not going to make the World Cup. Obviously, he's already been replaced by Ali. So yeah, mate, it's a bit of a bummer. Joe, thoughts on Rey Mysterio being out the World Cup?
I have a lot of thoughts. Not many about that, but I have other thoughts. Monty, I know that we did a half-hour pre-show before this program, but you didn't even ask on the program how my day was. You know, you got to set the table on this. The people are wondering. They're saying, how is Manny and how is Joe? Monty didn't ask. I mean, it was very unfortunate. As you hear, my voice is hoarse. The people don't understand why you didn't ask. I come back from my US excursion. You tell me you didn't ask me what I learned from my time on the mean streets of Philadelphia. You didn't ask me any of these things.
I'm straight to business, bro.
You didn't ask Manny which masks he'd bought. You didn't set the stage about a big announcement that's coming ahead. There's so much to know, but there's no time for it. My thoughts from Rey Mysterio. I would say it's bad news that one of the greatest wrestlers ever is injured. And it's a shame. I'm mad about it. I'm actually mad about it. That wasn't me doing a bit. I'm like actually angry. Rey's the fucking man. I'm sad. It's a shame. But I'm glad it isn't apparently too big of an injury because we need to get as many Rey matches as we can get. You know, dude's getting up there. You wouldn't believe it watching him wrestle, but it's crazy, man. He's incredible. So I just hope he's back soon. That's really the only take to have, I think. But I'm doing good, Monty. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for asking, Joe. I'm doing all right. You know, global warming is fucking up San Antonio. It's been raining nonstop and it's been cold. It's never been cold and it's never been raining this much. I feel like it's UK right now. It's like,
yeah,
it's very depressing. The sun just came out for an hour and now it's getting dark again. Wow. Got a whole bunch of new masks. My wallet is hurting.
New masks? Damn, that's cool.
Yeah, I almost filled up that wall.
That's pretty awesome, though.
And then my one-man war against car stickers is still going. Some lady said, honk you have a dog. I honked at her and I just had to pull right beside her because she was driving super slow. We stopped at a red light. She gave me the bird and I said, you have a... I was like looking at her. I said, I have a dog. And then she like rolled up her window.
See, this all would have been lost, Monty, if we didn't ask how Manny's day was. You see? This is where you have to ask it. This is where the magic lies with Manny, man. This is where it's at. But
I bet she called me a fat ass on the weekend. Rolled my ankle.
That's one of your finest tweets. That story of you rolling your ankle.
I haven't seen this one. I gotta see it.
My patient said he called me a fat ass and said I don't know anything about basketball, and he said the only thing I do know about basketball is a basketball shaped donut. And then I tried to show him I could do a Euro step and rolled my shit.
See, Monty, that is a YouTube short right there. That whole segment of Manny talking is a YouTube short. Back up, Hangman. How are you tonight, pal?
What's going on, Joe? I am. I've had better days, but I'm happy that we are live and worldwide. This is always a good time, you know, with Joe and Manny and Monty. You never know what irreverent, just random stories going to come from Mr. Manny here.
It's honestly, evil Manny in the chat.
Is that not you?
No, it's not me. My picture has my dog on it.
I have an impersonator. Too. I don't know. It's a new thing that's happening, bro. I was listening to Unpurist, WrestlePurists' hottest show, and in the middle of the show, I'm hearing AO going like, "Hangman's in the chat," da, da, da. And I was like, I was not there. I was at work, and like apparently there was a fake Hangman in the chat, just like going ballistic. So this is becoming a new phenomenon. Just fake. There's a fake Manny. There's a fake Hangman.
It
I
happened to
think
me. Hey
we
man,
need
that
a
happened to me when I was listening to like the Unpurists. Before I even typed anything, they were saying something about me, and I said, "What?" Like I was in the middle of typing something too, and I just see like my Twitter ad just pop up. I'm like, "Wait, am I typing stuff at the same time?" And it just threw me off. And I was like, "Wait, that's not even me."
It's insane. We need Elon Musk on YouTube to give us blue checks, on their names or something.
That was a loaded comment. We'll leave that there.
Yeah, right.
Get us back on the news.
Yeah, have I already missed some news discussion? What's going on? What do you guys?
Matt, we just started the Rey
just
Mysterio
started,
stuff, so
Oh, man.
he's out the World Cup. You're heartbroken. Get into it.
Yeah, look, man, Rey Mysterio is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and he's just frankly one of the greatest wrestlers I've ever seen. He to me, right now where I'm at with American TV wrestling, I'm here for very specific people. Very very specific people that give me very specific pops. And Rey Mysterio was my guy for Fridays. I mean, Sheamus is there and Gunther is there too, but like Rey Mysterio was just a master at TV wrestling. And as most of my Twitter friends know, I was losing my mind when I found out this guy was hurt. He was removed from the SmackDown World Cup, and I was kind of like going insane because I was personally promised by someone who was very high up in WWE that Rey Mysterio was going to work Ricochet next week and work Santos Escobar the week after. So when that was taken away from me abruptly with no explanation, I was very, very confused. I was angry. I was lashing out. I was yelling at Monty. I was yelling at anyone I could find. But yeah, man, Rey's just an amazing TV wrestler. He's just the best. So him not being here really sucks. Thankfully, it's not a serious injury, but the timing stinks because he was supposed to be in this tournament, and him not being in the tournament genuinely hurts it a lot, like a lot. So that really sucks. And that's kind of all I have to say about that. I said on Twitter, Monty, that WWE's TV is very dependent on certain people to be good. Because unlike other, like AEW, for example, they'll plug in another guy in a spot. But in WWE, very specific people are main roster stars. And it takes a while to get over on the main roster to the star level, right? You can't just throw anyone and have them get a Kevin Owens reaction. Johnny Gargano isn't getting Kevin Owens reactions. You know what I mean? Rey Mysterio has the legend cachet. So both of them being gone, like, really, really sucks and really hurts their TV. Because we've seen since Kevin Owens been gone, they replaced him with like Corbin, Elias, and Miz to eat up the TV time. The shows are significantly worse. So it just sucks. It sucks. But thankfully, it's not a serious injury.
I finally got around to watching Gunther and Rey yesterday.
What do you think?
As beautiful as that match was, my favorite moment of it came afterwards when they cut to like 8 different kids crying that Rey lost in 2022.
Wow.
That's the level of over that's like, it can't be overstated, That dude is iconic. Like there are kids watching him. There are kids watching him wrestle Gunther that only started watching wrestling like when he was gone, and he has that connection with them. Like he's it was. I've always a great match. I mean, what was interesting about it was very much a Rey Mysterio match, and he plugged Gunther in, and obviously because it's Gunther, he's great in it, obviously. Yeah. But that speaks to how great Rey is. That Gunther was like, "Yeah, bro, what you got? I'll do my deal." Like
it's insane. It's insane. It's actually I'll give credit to John Cena. It's similar to John in that I've seen John connect with children who absolutely did not grow up watching him in like previous generations of his career. You know what I mean? Like you'll like kids. There's kids who were John Cena kids in the during his rapper days, during some of the stuff a little bit after, and kids in the PG era. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I remember like I had a neighbor who had like kids over in a backyard pool. And Joe, I kid you not, this is like 2017, right? John is like at the end of his career, and kids are like jumping into the pool screaming, "I'm John Cena!" Like just ran out, and I was just like, "What the hell?" Like they're like 6, right? But yeah, and so Rey Mysterio has that similar quality and I think it's just when you're timeless and you just connect on that level as a babyface, that's what happens. So Gunther had a Rey match as he should, and it was beautiful. And stuff like that is why it stings that he's that he's hurt.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
because he's the type of guy that you throw him in anything for 12 minutes, 18 minutes, it's just going to be quality television, and quality television is becoming harder and harder to find from certain guys in wrestling, as we've seen with how much wrestling TV has suffered in the absence of certain wrestlers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, it just sucks.
He's such an interesting wrestler because he's actually, especially in the last, I was going to say recent years, and he's actually the last 15 fucking years at this point, but like Ray has become like almost understated. Everyone does
Yeah.
so much now that, but you wouldn't, that doesn't really make any sense considering his stature. You would assume he'd have to go do more and going above and beyond, but he has such an understanding of structure that he can
Yes.
get so much out. Like the spot where, his hope spot was the crucifix bomb, right, on Gunther.
Mhm.
He had
Yeah.
and it's like, if you did that spot suddenly out of nowhere, it's a great spot. It still works. It looks fucking awesome. It's a crucifix bomb on Gunther. But he didn't just do it, right? They did like 4 teases, and Gunther was pulling him and pulling him.
Mhm.
And it made Gunther look like a monster, which only helps him. But for the audience, it gave them something to like latch onto. They were like desperate for him to hit this one move. And it's like, I'm not here to do the old head thing of like slow down. Like that, a lot of that shit's shit anyway.
Yeah.
Once you got like Ray do some stuff, it's like that's a wrestling genius, man. That dude's so
Joe,
great.
I tweeted this. I look at him the way I look at Hiroshi Tanahashi right now,
Yeah.
because they're both incredible at maximizing what they do, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Mhm.
You know, Tanahashi at this stage of his career, he's not as athletic as he used to be, and he's kind of beat up. But kind of like Ray, they're just like tremendous storytellers in terms of how they structure matches and how they do their comebacks and things like that. And with both of them, like their babyface offense is stuff that like it's moves that were innovative 30 years ago, but yet the fans are reacting to it like it's incredible. And so you have to, I think wrestlers and fans alike should like kind of ask themselves, how are they doing that?
Yeah.
How are they getting fans to react to their offense that is in 2022 nothing special? A cross body, a springboard cross body, and a chop and stuff like that. Like, why is that getting the same reactions?
Right.
And I think the answer lies in just how they structure matches, how they sell, how they are able to garner sympathy from the crowds in their matches. It's genuinely masterful, and it's the stuff of living legends like those two guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, when I talked about that match last week for like 5 minutes. Like I was just so pumped up about that match, and
It's awesome.
I still think about that cutoff where Walter was chopping him in the corner. Then I got so pumped up when Ray just started firing back.
Yeah.
And then that's when it led to the Hurricane Rana, and then he caught him and he couldn't finish it, so he just turned it into a crucifix bomb. That's like where I was just like, man, the fuck, Ray's awesome, like
He's
I don't
awesome.
know. Yeah, he's just one of the
There
best.
was this sense, and I always loved this as an idea for Ray matches, but when he wrestles the latest like monster in WWE, this idea that in the monster's mind, like, I'm not going to fall victim to this David versus Goliath shit. Like Gunther was kind of dismissive of Ray, right? Like he was like kicking him in the head and kind of dismissive. And it's like, what's going to happen. Ray's going to fire up and get a comeback. But Gunther sold it so over his face. You got this sense that he didn't believe for a second he was going to have any trouble. And then the finish, he's so respecting of what Ray's brought that he doesn't just pin him after one. He picks him up for the lariat and puts him down for good. He's like, I ain't fucking playing around with Ray. Like that's the kind of details that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the details. It's the details, man. Gunther, what's funny? Issa was the one who pointed this out to me because she loved this match, right? And she saw it before I did, and she was telling me how like there's a spot. And she told me that she gave me ahead of time. She's like, there's a spot in this match where Gunther power bombs Ray on the apron, but before he gets back in the ring, he wipes his feet on the apron and then gets in the ring. And I was just kind of like, okay. And she's like, no, listen.
Yeah.
It's his thing. Like that's like him. Like that. And she was talking about like how that's just such a character quirk specific to him that probably was a total ad lib that just kind of adds to the match. Because it's like she was saying about both of these guys, Ray and Gunther, they're people that know exactly who they are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And wrestling is at its best when you're watching people wrestle that know exactly what they are and what they would do in any given situation. That's what sets you apart from like just the random Joe Schmo that does every move that you see everybody do. Mons, you want to read that out for us?
Tanahashi's held together by Goat, Ace, Tails, and Hope, but he's still one of the best baby faces ever.
Yes.
And I feel bad for the Ray and Walter match because it happened the same weekend as the
A lot
Osprey
of
and
other
Naito
stuff.
match. Yeah, last weekend was full of wrestling, so it's just like it got
Mhm.
overshadowed by that whole thing. And I'm saying, man, people need to go back out there and watch it.
This
Yeah,
week
it's
was the
definitely
opposite
worth
of
going
last
out your
week.
way for. It's one of those matches. I think we were talking about it on like last week's podcast or something. It's like to the AEW fans that aren't interested in WWE as an overall product. That's one of the few matches a year where you can be like, yeah, check this one out.
It's a dream match, man. That's a
Yeah,
dream match. You know.
I was telling Hangman last week, like where Gunther's getting to the point of his career where he's must see TV even on WWE TV.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because I was
yeah.
telling him that I'm depending on who wins this World Cup, I might go to the Royal Rumble or we'll just watch that one match. You know,
Man,
Yeah.
and that's
honestly,
a ticket.
like I put this in. I wrote a match review for this one, and I really believe this. I know Gunther's not had a long run with this belt, and it's like only the Sheamus matches in this one.
Yeah.
I honestly think this is going to be like a reign people like genuinely remember. Like this is a special run for him, man. This is like
Already.
this is important. And obviously, for those of us that have seen his whole career, we know what he's capable of. It isn't surprising.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's tremendous.
You do have to remind yourself there is a lot of people watching around that have never seen that dude before, and like he's fucking killing it, man. He's doing great.
Yeah.
Joe, last week I said that Gunther's making the Intercontinental the most important title in North America right now, and like
I love it.
and then everybody just agreed like that. But it's like this probably might get hate, but I feel like the Intercontinental right now is like doing what the All Atlantic was supposed to be for AEW, like with all these different international talents wrestling for this one belt. Like just look at the tournament right now they're doing it. It's just like, bro. I mean, like this shit right now that Gunther is doing is awesome.
Yeah. I understand why people are hesitant because it's a historically prestigious belt anyway, and it's only been a few months. But it's like, the top tier matches he's had with Sheamus and Ray, and you can add the Shinsuke one if you would like to. Like, that's strong, man. There's not many reigns for the IC title that have like that top end work. There's not many.
The 6-person tag at Extreme Rules was fantastic too.
Yeah.
And I was kind of worried because I was like, oh man, Walter in like a WWE gimmick match, that sounds kind of regressive and maybe not super productive for him. But like his approach to that match is just, I don't need weapons. My bare hands are crazy, and so like they he just whacked, he whacked his opponents, and it was a genuinely really well put together, spirited fight. There was a couple like theatrical Triple H-isms, like the 3-on-3 stare down before they and stuff like that. But those were kind of fewer and farther between. A lot of it was literally just unstructured fighting, which is my favorite type of like brawl. It's really, really good stuff. So yeah, man, I think I said this on a podcast last week. If I didn't, I said it to Monty privately. Man, this thing is probably going to be the best Intercontinental title reign of all time. For whatever reason, when I tweet this, people are resistant, and the names that they invoke in as a counter, it's like honky tonk man, and it's like, what are you fucking talking about? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like,
come on,
the competition isn't that crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
It sounds like that's why I was kind of hesitant, because I didn't realize you'd said that, but it's like I was kind of hesitant myself, being like, I know people think of the IC title a certain way, but the actual amount of like genuinely great reigns are not as like, it's not a longer list as you might think.
No, like, I can name them right now. Listen. Randy Savage has a tremendous reign in 1986. He has a lot of great house show matches with Ricky Steamboat, and he has some great matches with Tito Santana. It's a really good reign. He made it feel special. He carried himself like a guy who mattered, and that's why he was elevated to the main event scene. His reign is tremendous. Ricky Steamboat didn't have a good reign because he dropped it to Honky Tonk Man in like a month. The next great reign is probably Bret Hart's. And then that reign, we got the great Mr. Perfect match. He main evented the SummerSlam in '92. He dropped it to Shawn. I think he dropped it to somebody who dropped it to Shawn, I believe. That reign is good. Oh my God, the Roddy Piper match at Mania also. Bret Hart has a genuinely great Intercontinental title reign. After that, you're looking at motherfucker like The Rock in like '98 as like the next strong Intercontinental Championship reign. Him and Triple H feuded for the belt, really have elevated it in the mid-card scene. DX versus Nation of Domination, that's good shit. After that, fuck me. Like, Jesus Christ, somebody's like, Shelton, like, I don't fucking know.
Joe Morales.
It's a lot of like back and forth flipping. It became what a lot of other belts became in WWE, where it's just there'll be good matches for the belt. When it comes to extended reigns with bodies of work, like you kind of see now in the modern day, doesn't really happen. You know what I mean? It's kind of a belt that just flips back and forth amongst people.
And it's like, let's look at what Gunnar already has. It's like he has that match with Sheamus from Clash is like a WWE classic, and I don't say that as like it's a classic match, but I'm very confident WWE will make that part of canon in their history books. Like that was the match on that show in terms of quality, right? And that was
yeah.
So you'll remember that match. You'll remember that feud. The Ray match was a great match. It'll probably go under the radar for the reasons Manny referenced earlier. I didn't love the Shinsuke match, but I know people enjoyed it very much, and it was kind of a hot match, and the crowd got with it. So that's already, you've got 4 there, and it's like, you just went through the reigns. There's not many that have that. So,
and we're probably taking it at least to Mania. I can tell you guys this: Gunther has privately pitched who he wants to work with at Mania to Triple H already. If you want to back a Hangman exclusive, he says he wants John Cena or Brock Lesnar are the names that he invoked. And his literal pitch for them, his literal pitch for them is just neither guy's won the IC belt. They want to win the belt. Let me fight him. Like that's kind of
his name dropped them both on podcasts in I think it was last week anyway. Yeah.
Oh wow, there you go. Yeah,
the Brock Lesnar one is insane, man.
I love how straightforward.
Brock Lesnar's his number 1, I think.
I love how straightforward he is, to be honest with you. Like when you see him in interviews, he's very deadpan and he talks about wrestling like it's a sport and calls it a sport. He doesn't call it like a an entertainment or a media. He doesn't call himself like a performer. He says he calls himself an athlete. And like he just shoots his angle on the interview. I want to wrestle Brock. Like
this is where when I was on it 2 weeks ago, we had this long conversation about the good and bad of Triple H as a booker, and I stand by what I said in that, and we sort of discussed it in detail. It was great, right? But like, this is where you realize how fucking just cooked Vince was, right? Because it's like, this is what's possible when you just get out of people's way. It's like, like Volta could just have matches with Brock Lesnar. It's like, awesome, man. Let's do that.
You're totally right. And you know what this also shows? Like Vince, under Vince, it almost felt like the roster, there was very little value to so many of the talents. To the point where like when you asked me like how many people on WWE's roster were truly great, there wasn't a high count of them. And I think the amount maybe doubled since, and the only difference was you just unleashed certain people. Kevin Owens, you just unleashed him and let him be Kevin Owens, right? Rey Mysterio, you got him away from Dominic and just let him wrestle people, and you're like, wow, this guy's incredible. Walter is like the greatest big man of this era, and like they didn't even completely revert him back. They just said, hey, you can like do like most of your moveset again, and you have your third member back. Like and look at him, so. Yeah, like Vince was ridiculously cooked. There was a report out today that he was planning to bury Gunther and send him back down to NXT because he didn't like his performance on, I think it was the July 5th Raw where he squashed R-Truth. It's just like what? So weird.
I wish. Oh man, we could have got him in AEW.
AEW was literally a month away from getting Gunther.
Before Vince Gate. But I don't think I've plugged it yet. But if you can like, subscribe, get the likes up. There's over 100 people in here.
Oh my god!
We've got some super chats already. Showtown Spurs. Who would you guys rather have as a locker room leader, CM Punk or Cristiano Ronaldo?
Monty would have both.
Listen, they've drew money,
Bro, you'll text me.
You see Ronaldo take shots at Rooney? I said, man, I was agreeing with him, and then he threw a shot at Rooney. I said, put my foot down. I said, nope, no, I'm not letting him throw shots at Mr. Rooney.
The Rooney shot was a bit, that's your guy, man. But he's any Man United fans, I agree with him. Look where the club's came. It's a mess.
You're fucking amazing, man.
Mad King 199 TK, mate. Brody King TNT champ to go against Gunther.
Brody King is so awesome.
Yeah, he's great, man. He ain't no Gunther, but
I'm not gonna lie. I know he enjoys it. I'm kind of bummed that like he's just going back to the law. Like I wanted him to just be a killer. I would just fucking walk out and lariat people and call it a day, But
see, what's crazy? I remember when he won the Battle Royal and he faced Moxley like that next week on Dynamite.
Yeah.
I thought that match was very forgettable and disappointing. But you see what I was looking for in that match is what I eventually got in another match, because I've always been of the belief that Brody King is like awesome. I think I've been a fan of his for a couple of years now, and I thought he got to like the level that he's at now, roughly around 2019, 2020. He had a very, really solid year in Ring of Honor in their last.
He was good at the end. He was good at the end before Yeah.
before they closed
Before
up shop.
Bob
Yeah,
O'Neill killed Ring of Honor.
Bob O'Neill. Yeah, and so the Mox match wasn't what I hoped it was going to be, but that Darby match, man. I was compiling some of my favorite matches from AEW this year on Twitter, and I was trying to remember like what was awesome this year, and I kind of like as I was cycling through my memories, I got to Darby and I was like, oh my god, that first Darby match. Like I know some people kind of like they thought like, yeah, it's a good thing. Like to me, that shit is like in my mind,
A big
it's
man
like.
being a big man.
And
Yeah.
and Darby just bumps and kills himself and fucking
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So that shit, that's like it's in the same you know what I realized, Joe? I love matches that are spiritually in the same vein of like other great matches that I love from the past. So for example, for me, CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston, it's special to me because that match was not even a match to me. It was like an experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was breathtaking, man. That was crazy.
I thought I'm assuming that's how people felt watching Stone Cold and Bret Hart fight. You know, it's just really frenzied and chaotic, and it's just kind of like an experience, and then it ends at some point. And so I don't know how I would feel watching it back. I've never rewatched it. Maybe the work isn't as whatever as I remembered it, but it was never about the
awesome.
work really. It was about like the feeling. But Darby versus Brody, that's like to me, that's like Brock versus like a really good small man, or you know,
Right.
Vader and Keiji Muto. You know, when a big man knows exactly who he is as a big man, and the little guy bumps his fucking ass off and just goes madman mode, it's beautiful. You know, I love David Goliath matches. So Brody King's awesome. You know, he's awesome.
Yeah, that match is awesome. I remember him bleeding, like looking like a Viking covered in blood and shit like that. It was awesome. He's
Yeah.
that's the same
Look at
week that I
this.
invented the Hooper of the Week.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Kobashi's type run. I'll tell you this. Pete Davidson is prolific. You know, he is.
He is.
He's
Never
prolific.
seen
I
an
don't even
unfunnier
know.
guy.
He gets a new girlfriend. I didn't even know he lost the last one. Crazy.
Bro,
It's crazy.
Pete Davidson.
It's crazy, bro.
Pete Davidson is having a Kazuchika Okada like IWGP title run. You know, like it's just you go to Pete Davidson.
AO's having a Okada run in the live chat right now.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Claiming that he's hacked now, you know. But yeah, let's move on to Kevin Owens real quick because
Yeah.
we've been here 28 minutes talking about Ray to Gunther to the IC title. Kevin
Deserving.
Owens is also injured in more unfortunate news. So apparently he was spotted by a few fans at the Sunday night live event. You know, like hobbling around and stuff like that. It was then confirmed by Dave Mounts, I believe. He has a right knee MCL sprain, I believe the injury is.
Yes.
And yeah, man, this is obviously massively disappointing because obviously Survivor Series is coming up. It's probably a bit touch and go whether he can make it for that. Hopefully he can. Maybe not. We'll see what happens. But yeah, man, just more injuries. WWE's injury list is pretty long when you see it, to be honest, at this point. So
This timing is brutal in both ways because the Survivor Series thing, but also we talked about this a little before we went on. Like people have been waiting for him to come back, right? So it's like they've been waiting for him to come back to begin with, but he's actually also got something waiting for him that's like that's blockbuster. So it's brutal, but we'll see what happens.
It's tough with KO because he was supposed to be the fifth man for War Games. And the thing about that is this: if Kevin Owens can't make War Games, it's still going to be a really, really fun, chaotic WWE multi-man plunder match.
yeah,
But what was gonna
just the idea of the bloodline like all together in a fucking crazy match is just like enough, you know.
But hear me out. Here's the thing though. Yes, it's still absolutely going to be a fun WWE multi-man plunder match like the NXT Takeover ones, right? But what was in my mind, what was going to set this one apart from those was going to be the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn factor, because I think that there was going to be an emotional core to this match that would make it more memorable. And I think that there's going to be a lot of really cool dramatic moments and things that you can exploit from that dynamic. You know, maybe will Sammy turn type of thing, or you know, is Sammy going to turn on his friend, and whose side he's going to pick on that, and is Jey Uso going to have his back in the match, and all that type of stuff. There's a lot to kind of get from that. And so for me, that plus all the crazy action was going to make this like probably one of the best WWE matches of the year. It still probably will be, but that emotional core not being there is really unfortunate. I'll tell you guys this. Steen is tremendous. I said it on Twitter. He is one of those guys who can fill up time on Raw, and Raw needs people like who are really great that can fill up that TV time, because when they're not there, then you get The Miz talking for 20 minutes or Baron Corbin wrestling for 20 minutes. Really bad content. But to me, it hurts the TV that he's not there. It hurts the TV because he's awesome. He's still awesome.
Yeah, he's a great presence on TV, whether it's a promo, a match, or whatever. Like ever since Triple H took over creative, like he just, it's like you were saying, like just he's been let loose, and
100%.
he can cut real Kevin Owens promos, where he gets all fired up and just goes off, and even his matches, like he was going crazy. Like he was like before he kind of like was. Took a step back from TV and stuff because obviously he wasn't going Saudi, so there's no point just kind of having him floating. I guess the idea was.
They wanted him to.
I thought he was like Triple H. He was like Triple H's like MVP pretty much up until that point. So him or Sami Zayn.
I got to say this, Monty. People. I think the mistake like the Fed fans are making when it comes to Triple H in this era is they're structuring like the memes like when it comes to the Thanos thing around the signings. His signings aren't the highlights of his programming. It's a lot of the guys that he's been able to reactivate that have been there. Gunther, Sheamus, Kevin Owens, guys like that. Like it's almost like a fire's been lit back under them, and they've like turned in some of their best work in a long time. Kevin Owens has been much more valuable to the programming than like a Karrion Kross or whoever the fuck you want to name, right? I'll tell you guys this: MCL sprains are they're not very uncommon. I have experienced them before, and I can tell you guys this. I have. I sprained my MCL before. I've torn my MCL. I've torn my meniscus, all in my right knee, which means that I'm a very, maybe. But
I knew Monty was going to laugh when you said that, and I was just waiting for him, and he immediately laughed.
Just laughing at my leg pain, right? But here's the thing. So MCL sprains, it's literally like the if you told me Kevin Owens has a knee injury, it's like the best case scenario, frankly, because it doesn't require surgery. It's not even a tear; it's a sprain. MCL sprains heal in as if you're really lucky, a couple days. But at worst, a number of weeks. So we're looking at a situation where he's either out for a week or he's out for like a month to a month and a half. Survivor Series is in 2 weeks. And I'm not saying anything. All I'm going to tell you is this. If this injury happened to Kevin Owens in 1998, Joe, he would make the town the next day and work that fucking match. The wrestlers of yesteryear would tear things in their knee. They wouldn't even know for sure it was an MCL sprain or whatever the fuck the technical term would be. They would just say, "I blew my knee out, brother," and tape the shit up and wrestle. Right? I'm not suggesting
you didn't have to move as much then, though. To be fair, you could just throw some work punches and bleed a bit.
There's 10 dudes in this match. He could do that.
Yeah.
So here's the deal.
Kevin Steen has the same energy of Kawhi Leonard, where they won't wrestle or play basketball unless they're 100%. And, it's really troublesome. There's fans that are paying to go watch Raw, and they're getting cheated out because he doesn't want to go wrestle.
That's brutal, man.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I'm not saying that Kevin Steen could wrestle on a messed up MCL at War Games, but I'm just saying there's a decent chance it's possible. What the fuck? Yo, we have a nice house here today, Monty. Are you seeing this? This is very surprising. Look, we have 134 live viewers, guys. Thank you so much for supporting WrestlePurists Worldwide.
Get those likes up.
Get the likes up, guys. I
gotta pay these people.
Yeah, listen, guys. Everybody, look. I have an announcement at the end of this podcast, so you're gonna want to stick around. I have a big announcement. I appreciate all the support here for WrestlePurists. I appreciate everybody tuning in for Worldwide. 132 live viewers on a Worldwide Monday. That's big. So we really appreciate you guys. Please like the video if you have not. And yeah, man. Look, Kevin Steen, WrestlePurists merch when.
Hey, trust me, I've already shot that idea.
Listen,
I've
got many ideas.
I want Isra to rock the merch. Yeah, look, man. Kevin Steen, should he wrestle at War Games? That's up to him. But I'm just saying, WWE. It's probably honestly, if it is up to him, he probably would just do it.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, it's up to WWE Medical. I'll tell you this: he could probably, no matter how bad the degree is, he could probably just kind of lumber around and punch people in that match. But knowing Kevin Steen, he wants to fucking do a swanton at the top and all kinds of crazy shit. So it depends. What this really hurts is not the actual match, because he's going to be a game time decision. It's going to hurt the build on TV, because he'll probably be rehabbing regardless. And so it's like, what are we going to do to are we going to say it's a mystery opponent, and like, what are we going to do with that? So
they've got, like, the one thing I'll say is you're right about like the emotional core of the match. They are lucky though that like there is at least depth to the bloodline, right? And there's like infighting elements. So then they can at least like lean on those. So there's some kind of emotional, substance to the match beyond just war games. Because if they were just like one single unit without any moving pieces, you would kind of be fucked with Kevin Owens, right? Because he was again, whenever you thought of the match, you thought of that moment when Kevin gets in there and he goes head to head with Sammy. So you're gonna have to lean on the bloodline stuff if he's not there, but it's rough, man. Hopefully,
I've got
it kind of
I got hold of a list of all of WWE's current injuries, and like I was saying earlier, man, it's Kevin Owens, Ray, Cody, Rude, Ciampa, Tiff Stratton, Rick Boogs, Natalia. Did I say Roddy Strong? Big E, obviously. R-Truth, Becky Lynch, bro, like
Montez Ford,
and Aaliyah.
And you're forgetting Montez Ford.
Oh shit! Of course,
they lent on them for Raw a lot too. Dude, they were on the Raw all over the Raw for a while.
Yeah,
there, man.
If you guys think about it, most of the people you listed are people that actively make the show more fun to sit through.
Yeah,
you
know what I mean?
Still out from when he blew his knee.
Yeah. Because that was a full blown ACL tear.
Yeah, he blew his knee to smithereens, bro, trying to do that double Uso lift.
I think
so
he did.
Unfortunate, man.
I think he did the knee tear where like he tore everything too. Like, I think it was like an ACL and like a meniscus and like an MCL.
But also on top of that list as well, there's obviously Sasha and Naomi are whatever they're doing. Charlotte is, I don't know. Like Ric Flair and Conrad were on the podcast the other day saying like she's perfectly fine, like she's not injured, she's not, what I mean, she's sweet, she's just working some things out. Like
everybody's straight up going. Everything with Charlotte has been, she's just figuring some stuff out. She's working on some stuff.
Crazy,
so,
man.
Yeah.
More catchy. $2. Are the injuries due to modern wrestling style?
Yeah.
The modern wrestling style is crazy, man. It's why I was gonna bring. I think when we, I can't remember what podcast it was. It's either Thursday or the Monday last week, and we were talking about Ospreay, and it's just like. All of his matches, man, he's going like 100,000%. Like even on, whether it's a British indie or whether it's fucking Tokyo Dome versus Okada, like he's going crazy and he's going to like the same level. And it's just like it's kind of like Kenny Omega in like 2018 and those times. It's just like there's only so much the body can take to going like that crazy,
Yeah.
So it's like. It's like I don't know. Like, it seems like Will Ospreay's mentality right now is just kind of go until the wheels fall off, and when he's all beat up, he'll deal with it then. It's just hopefully he's put together a nice enough resume by then, which it seems like he's doing. But it's all worth it in the end. But this modern style, bro, like these guys are they're crazy.
The funny thing about Ospreay is that. He broke his neck earlier this year, and he just came back and started wrestling. Like,
see, this is the thing. I do think part of it with the big like US companies is that like there's like a system in place to actually check these guys' bodies. Where once upon a time, dudes just because that's how they got paid, but they had to wrestle.
They had to make the next down. Yeah.
They would run 100 miles an hour, and then they'd be washed to like 35.
Oh my God, Joe!
One difference.
Here's a good example. Mr. Perfect, right? Mr. Perfect had like misplaced. He had misplaced discs in his back and fucked knees, right?
Yeah.
And he like never got surgery on like various tears in his knees, right? Because he just had to make the next house show town, and he like didn't get back surgery when he needed to, and just wrestled through it. Most famously, SummerSlam 1991, he had a really horrifically damaged back, but he promised Bret Hart he was going to put him over, and so he toughed it out, and put Bret Hart over, and did irreparable damage
Yeah,
to
he was
his
never
back.
saying.
And Mr. Perfect is somebody that he was primed and ready to have like a great 90s where he was going to be one of the best wrestlers just in the world, and he had like one more memorable match in the rest of his career because he was physically fucked before he even hit like 36.
It's like even he's often people pair him and Rude because they were friends and they were like they're like that's both that same breed of heel from that era, right?
Yeah.
Rick Rude hit his prime in like 92 and was finished by 93 because his body was done, man. Like I always remember I can't remember where he said, but Arn Anderson was talking about today's wrestlers and he was like, they get injured more because their bodies they don't wrestle as much as us. Their bodies aren't like adjusted. They aren't callous to the mat. It's like, that makes sense. But the problem with that is the way that they used to do it, poor Arm retired at what age? Like Arm was fucked up at like 30, so
yeah.
it's different now. Like, and Hennig's a good example of it too. It's just different.
Bro, back in 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if a wrestler was like good at like 43, it blew people's minds.
Yeah.
Because like wrestlers' bodies aren't supposed to work at 43.
It's like, we'll talk about guys like AJ or Joe, and we'll be like, oh man, they're washed because they aren't what they were at Kenta. They're not nearly what they were. But it's like, fuck, man. Once upon a time, guys would have killed to be that good at 44, 45.
Yeah, like washed is a new meaning in this day and age, man.
Yeah, for sure. Someone in the comments, Yuzora Hart said, Hangman already said it. Guys got hurt in the 80s. They just did painkillers, alcohol, toughed it out, and died before 65. 65 is generous.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys.
That's basically the short of it.
Yeah, a lot of these guys died in their 30s and 40s because of the lifestyle they lived. And so that's the trade-off. Mm-hmm. It's like guys were getting hurt back then, but it was just like, okay, pop a painkiller, tape up your injury, and then just wrestle, right, on it. And then that caused more damage to their bodies, and then they just died early. And now the guys are getting hurt, but they're identifying every injury that exists, even if it's a minor one, and just sitting it out. There's a couple exceptions. Like, for example, Dax Harwood, I can tell you guys this. He's pretty beat the fuck up. He's been beat up all year long. And I think you can even see it visually. Like, he has, like, his shoulders taped and his, like, tricep and shit like that. He has various sprains and bruises and bumps and stuff that he's fighting through because, look, he's a territory kid. You know what I mean? And Britt Baker literally broke her wrist and kept wrestling, which is like kind of insane. But for the most wrestlers, if you tweak an ankle or a finger or whatever it is, like they just sit out. And Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio are good examples because an MCL sprain would go unreported from WWE if this happened like 14 years ago, and they'd probably come back in like 2 weeks. CM Punk himself tore his meniscus and his ACL in I want to say November 2012, and he was wrestling in January the next year when he should have been sitting out like 4 to 5 more months. And that's within the last 10 years. So things have changed. Rey Mysterio is going to take some time off because of his ankle, and more power to him. But yeah, these injuries definitely hurt WWE. A lot of those people are guys that would contribute to the show positively.
Chris, I can't show my Lucha mask collection because I have 61 masks. Take a long time.
61?
Do you have a favorite?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, come on, it's like asking what's your favorite dog or something.
See, I wouldn't have a problem with doing that, but I'm just cold like that. Anyway,
probably that Conan one.
Apparently, WWE have made an offer for Stone Cold to wrestle again.
Apparently,
this offer's apparently came in since the Triple H, Stephanie, Nick Khan takeover.
You think he has to reach out to them? You think he has to send out a feeler? Hey guys, can I work Mania, or do you want me to work Bound for Glory this year? It's fucking Stone Cold. I'd message him every day and ask him what he wants to do. It's like he's one of the biggest stars ever, man. It's like it goes without saying. When he wrestled that match last year, this year. God, that was this year. What a year it's been. It was like, of course, like they're gonna want to have him back. He was great. So,
and he looks like he's in. Have you guys seen the video of him like training?
Cardio.
Yeah. Bro, he looks incredible. He looks even like he's in better shape there than he was at Mania when he wrestled with the T-shirt on. I think Steve's gonna break the trunks out.
That's the thing with Steve. Like, if he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it properly. Like, he wouldn't come back unless his cardio was at least like to a level he felt was good.
So cool, man.
Bro, it had no right being as good as it was. It was so
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm getting really scared because I'm afraid that we might get CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay, do you guys want to scoop?
Oh, bro.
Oh no.
Stone Cold is wrestling at WrestleMania, number one. Number two, he's been like hitting the ropes. And what I was told is that he was so fired. Here's the thing: he's been hesitant for wrestling because his big mental block is that he's afraid that he's gonna come back and ruin his legacy. Is the word he's gonna use, right? And the match being as good as it was helped him overcome his mental block when it comes to that. And he was so fired up at how good his match with KO was that he wants to just
true.
Yeah, he was so fired. Like, he was like, "Oh shit, like that was good." That like he's so fired up about it. I was straight up told that like Steve's like just really training hard to like try to top it, so to speak. And I can't publicize the person who told me this, but how can I work around saying this? I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Steve Austin would love to wrestle CM Punk. CM Punk would love to wrestle. CM Punk would love to wrestle Stone Cold Steve Austin. CM Punk has little interest in being in WWE full time. Like by little, I mean like borderline none. But a one-off main event with Austin is something that does interest him, according to his people who then talk to my source, right? But the thing is, it's not up to CM Punk. It's up to Tony Khan, frankly, because he would have to promptly release him from his contract and not stack a no compete. And the likelihood of that happening is not super high. So I don't know if that match happens. And then even going further beyond that, Punk would have to be healthy come Mania, which is possible, but not completely set in stone. So not to put a damper on that, but that's kind of where we are with that situation. But what I can tell you guys is Steve Austin is wrestling. So, you know.
I was listening to another podcast. I don't want to say who it was, but they were just saying that don't be surprised if CM Punk, if he can get out of his deal, wants to stick it to Tony Khan and just like want and wrestle Steve Austin at WrestleMania. And I heard that and I was just like, fuck, man. I mean,
Monty, do you think Tony like heard about this being in the works and that's why he kind of put out to like Dave that like they're working on a no compete on the buyout?
He's probably worried about it happening before he even heard about it, to be honest. Of course, man. It's just, you know, if he's not releasing Buddy Matthews, well, he's not going to let CM Punk walk into WrestleMania.
If Austin came out and announced his wrestling at Mania and did the fucking open contract deal and Cole's personality hit, like I would probably just be in hospital from like a heart attack immediately. I'd probably kill me. I don't give a fuck, man. That shit would blow my mind. I would go insane for that, man. I don't care. I would go full like Mecca for that. I would rebrand immediately.
Tony thought about it and he called Mega. He said, "Yo, get them drafts ready." Nah, fuck that.
You know, it's so funny because like Tony Khan being like such a huge wrestling nerd, like it pops up like, oh fuck, man, a Stone Cold CM Punk match.
Yeah.
At the same time, he's just like, no, I can't. Like, fuck, man, I have to put non-compete on him as much as I want to see the match too. It's like. It's killing him inside because he can't wrestle for AEW anymore. But at the same time, he can't have the Stone Cold match.
Manny, that's a great point. Tony's a huge fan, and so you know, on one hand, he's like, that shit would be awesome. Like that shit would be so cool. And I think that was probably part of his decision making when reportedly Pro Wrestling Noah reached out to Tony Khan for permission to talk to WWE for Shinsuke Nakamura. Because you know they've been kind of intermingling with AEW a little bit. Tony Khan is friendly with the Cyberfight brand. He has gotten people from TJPW and DDT to appear on his show. So I think just on a political level to just be friendly, it's proper etiquette to ask Tony, I guess. Hey, can we talk to WWE for this guy? And Tony had no problem. Tony was like, yeah, go get Nakamura. It doesn't, there's nothing wrong with that. I think part of it in Tony's head is like, yo, man, Nakamura Muda at the Budokan, that's cool shit. So
Stone Cold is insane. This is bad. I'm gonna think about this a lot now.
Joe is like he's stunned on it.
You can't just be like, oh yeah, that might happen, and just
No,
you can't do that to a man, bro.
Face-to-face promo, and it's all like baby face and respect, and fucking Punk just kicks that shit out of him. He blades, Punk just becomes a monster as a heel. Oh my god,
I'll be so disgusted watching that. Just like beer in my hands, disgusted. Like, fuck, man.
Bro.
The favorite part of what I was told was the fact that like Punk's stance is literally like fuck WWE. I don't want to work there. I would love to wrestle Stone Cold at WrestleMania. Like that is just really funny to me.
Tony Khan. Speaking of Tony Khan, let's segue into it's Full Gear week. We got Full Gear this weekend.
Yes, it is.
Big pay-per-view, of course.
I will be there.
You'll be there.
Yeah.
You excited?
No.
Why?
Getting to these venues is a pain in the ass, and I was unable to secure great seats this time. My last 3 AEW shows, my seats have been tremendous, but this year they're not that great, and I have not to this point secured a spot in the press scrum. So this is feeling like more like a hassle than like a fun thing. But you know, I feel like come showtime, I'm going to be fired up and ready to go. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to say like my anticipation is negative. It's just kind of like, yeah, it's the thing I'm going to go to, and hopefully it's fun. So that's kind of where I'm at with Full Gear. I hope the Elite do face Death Triangle, and so that I get that like really cool Elite action live. That'll be fun. But yeah, I'm kind of indifferent at the moment.
Are you going to go to Rampage?
No, I can't. No,
I was about to say,
unfortunately, no.
I would, if I was there, I would try my best so you can watch that Akiyama match in person.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jun Akiyama's a legend. Tony Khan pulled a rabbit out of the hat, and he got Jun Akiyama for Rampage. He's going to be teaming with Konosuke Takeshita of DDT, and both of them are facing Eddie Kingston and Ortiz, which is nice. We haven't seen Ortiz wrestle on TV in a long time. Eddie gets to wrestle his one of his idols, and yeah, it should be really cool stuff. I'm not going to be there for that because it's going to be impossible for me to get that day off. Sadly, really fucking sucks. But yeah, that's happening. Yeah, New Jersey.
Well, hopefully you get Eddie Nakayama that next day.
Hopefully, people are talking about that. That's going to be a buy-in match, and I guess perhaps it is. But that'll be one of those matches that I'm more excited for that than like 90% of the card.
Yeah. That happened last time with the Ishii match, honestly. When they announced him with Ishii, I was like, that was like in my top 3 like matches I was most interested in all out. So it would be the same.
Yeah, for sure.
If people knew what match I'm excited for Full Gear, they'll be like disgusted.
Well, what is it? Let's go for it. Come on, let's talk for a little bit.
I bet you I'm going to agree with you.
What is it? What do you think it is?
The Jeff Jarrett tag.
Fucking yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What would we think of who you're on screen with?
Yeah, we're all fucking nerds, man.
You know what I mean?
We can't wait to watch Jeff Jarrett for a right hand and fucking
and Sting just getting like clogging his neck back, and then no selling a guitar shot, and then just like, and then like it'll be so funny if Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett are the first one to beat them. Be so funny just to see how people react on Twitter, but at the same time, it'd be so awesome because
hopefully that doesn't happen. But Sting is just one of the most cathartic wrestlers I have ever seen in my life. Like it's unbelievable. Guys, real quick aside, I'll try not to spend too much time here, but as you guys know, or maybe you don't, I'm reviewing the WrestleManias in order, specifically the main events, and I got to 31, and I rewatched Sting versus Triple H, and upon rewatch, this match until the finish is one of the greatest WrestleMania matches I've ever seen in my life. The drama. Sting is just so awesome in it. Like his no selling and the chest beating and the flexing and shit. It's such a stark contrast to like Triple H's previous couple Mania matches, which kind of sucked. It's just so good, and it was. You got to see it again. One of the big things about it is just that Sting he's just such a feel good wrestler, man. He's just such a feel good wrestler, and what's gonna happen this Saturday. Jeff Jarrett's gonna hit him in the head with a chair, and he's gonna no sell it, and then he's gonna flex, and he's gonna beat his chest, and he's gonna do a bunch of stinger splashes, and it's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm most excited for the main event, but I'm not doing a bit when I tell you that's probably second for me.
That's easily second for me.
I really hope that Darby does the dive to Jeff Jarrett to see how he catches him or what he does. Yeah, I think that'd be like a visual.
Let me quickly clarify for the chat because they're saying Triple H's previous matches with Bryan. Yeah, no. Hunter's match with Bryan was great. It was a great match. but a lot of his WrestleMania catalog is really fucking bad. His match with Lesnar in 2013 stinks. His Taker matches were great. A lot of the ones before that stunk. The fucking Batista match, the Chris Jericho match, the Booker T. It's a bad catalog. And I don't know. I thought of the Lesnar match because when the Lesnar match started, the bell rang and there was no noise in the venue. The fans just couldn't be bothered to even react. And that was a big difference because in the Sting match, they were chanting "Holy shit" when the bell rang. Like they really saw it as like a big deal. So there you go.
A couple super chats real quick. This is from a little bit earlier. Zatopia Productions 199. Appreciate you. Punk versus Austin or Punk versus Goldman Reigns. I'm going with Punk versus Austin like all day. I love Roman. But
I agree, but I will say, from a television perspective, you could do some incredible stuff with Paul Lee in between Roman and Punk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was like my realistic visual when like the Punk WWE rumors started to get kind of like played up as a bit.
Yeah,
I was just like, listen, bro, we can talk about like
there's a real story there, man. I mean,
everyone's like, "Oh, Punk can't morally go back to WWE. You can't do this. You can't do that." It's like, bro, all that goes out the window when he's stood in the middle of the ring having a stare down with Roman Reigns.
I personally don't think the match between Roman and Punk would be good. I would be more excited to see what Heyman and Punk cook up together.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Man. I feel like Roman he'd grab a headlock at like minute 6 and like Manny would be like, "This is boring," and then the people would stand up and fucking start trying CM Punk. And I think, I don't know. I get what you mean, but I do think it would be like a spectacle if nothing else, you know? Like it would be dramatic.
They'd both be spectacles. Punk is a great brawler though. And Punk is a Terry Funk-esque brawler, and then Stone Cold is a Stone Cold-esque brawler, and he just knows how to do it. So Punk and Austin would just be such an experience. I'd love for the build of that to just be like no baby faces and heels. Honestly, Punk is just like I want Punk to just call himself the GOAT and like them talking shit to each other. It would be a lot of fun. Honestly, Monty, we're looking at a Mania season that could potentially have Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul, John Cena, Stone Cold, and that's not even counting like The Rock potentially. So we are in for some big time shit come next year, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, man. If you got all those ingredients, you're gonna have a fire WrestleMania season. Easy. You can't miss with that lineup. You know.
Plus. Last year I did like the show, but going in, one of the things that really frustrated me was that the card was put together at the expense of WWE's then non-existent mid card. The United States and the Intercontinental titles weren't even defended on those shows. And a lot of like the workhorse type wrestlers weren't even on the show. And a good way to get those guys on the show is something that they are planning to do this year, and that's the Money in the Bank. So, if you get the big matches like Cena's match and Logan Paul's match and whoever, Stone Cold's and stuff, you can do that, right? But you can also not leave Ricochet by wayside and Gargano or whoever you want to say, because you could put them in the hot opener for the Money in the Bank. So I actually am pretty confident that this year's Mania season is going to be really fun. And probably the most fun and like exciting Mania season in a long time. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. Another super chat, Mad King, 199. Put it up. Is Modern Akiyama still good? Haven't watched much.
Yes, Jun Akiyama has been in DDT for the last 2 years, and it's actually kind of ignited a fire under him. Jun Akiyama is one of those guys where he was a part of All Japan's 90s Kings Road era. And he kind of came in roughly midway. And before Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle, like Jun Akiyama was considered like just the most astonishing rookie in wrestling in like a long time, because he got really great really fast. And that's what happens when you're working tag matches with Mitsuharu Misawa against like Kobashi and the Holy Demon Army, like literally every other night. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get great, right? So Jun was awesome, and he's one of those guys that he never got to be the guy in any of the promotions he was in, and usually when they try to put belts on him for one reason or another, it just didn't work out for him. But he has the respect of a lot of fans because as a worker and in terms of just his in-ring ability, he's just as good as like his contemporaries. And that's something that hasn't really faded because a lot of what he's great at is not athleticism based. He's just really good at just structure and the fundamentals of wrestling and stuff like that. And he got a bit stale in the last decade. He did get older and get piled up some more injuries, but him going to DDT has actually revived. I feel like it's lit a fire under Jun, because what happened was he went to a promotion that people would think like this is not like Jun Akiyama would never fit in a place like this. DDT, like first it's he doesn't work a high paced frenetic style. He's not in tags being like a freaking just firecracker, right? And he's also not a comedy wrestler. And yet putting Uncle Jun, as he's affectionately referred to, putting him in DDT has kind of like you've been able to see a different side of him. And sometimes in wrestling, when you get another aspect of a performer, another dimension that you never thought they had, you end up getting their most inspired work in a long time. So Jun, you've seen him now in DDT be the straight man in certain tags, or he'll even indulge in some of the silliness in his own Jun way, and it makes for not only good comedy but good wrestling. I saw a match where like his opponent teased like breaking out Legos, right? And like instead of him like just kind of tossing it to the side, he punched his opponent in the gut. I forgot who it was, and he just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna use it on you." And he pours like the Legos out, and, like choke slams him on it, and he just kind of like looks at he makes this really funny face. He just looks at the camera, and he just made a face like it's just really funny. So yeah, Jun Akiyama in DDT is still a lot of fun. He had a KOD Openweight Championship run last year. That is it's well received because it's genuinely really strong. Most of it, like literally most of the title defenses were like around 4 stars, which is astonishing because he's like 40, he's 53.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. It's like you was mentioning earlier, like he was literally wrestling like every other night in those insane tag matches, and that it's like most of those guys are either dead or in like insanely beat up.
Well, only one of them,
bro.
It's like,
Yoshihiro Takayama is paralyzed. Mitsuharu Misawa is dead. Toshiaki Kawada has trouble moving around.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're either all insanely beat up or like, unfortunately,
or just gone. Yeah, and so Akiyama being around, still wrestling and wrestling well is just genuinely crazy.
I will say too, there's something like there's a charm to how weird this match is with King too. Like Ortiz being in there, and like also you have the Takeshita element. While I want to see the singles match, and I hope we get it on Saturday, I hope you get Hangman on Saturday. It's like there is like a charm to these bizarre like matchups, right? Like fucking Ortiz being in there with Akiyama. Like, I'm with man. Carry on,
bro. I'm not gonna
super quirky stuff. Yeah.
What's up? I'm like Ortiz, like is super underrated. Like since he's broke out from Santana, since they were forcibly broken up, like bro, like Ortiz. But every time you see Ortiz, he's like super over, and it's like really weird. And like you haven't really seen that from his partner, unfortunately, where he's injured, but. Like I don't know. I think the match is gonna be like really. I didn't mean for it to sound like
very fun. It's gonna be very fun. Yeah, it's gonna be very fun. I actually hope this is one of the matches that goes kind of like long. I'm not one of those guys who thinks TV matches need to be fucking 20 minutes and stuff like that, but kind of hope this one does.
Yeah, I agree.
Because again, Jun's background is working 45-minute tag match epics, right? Yeah. So he knows how to like structure matches like chapter by chapter and do interesting things per chapter, right? So I could literally see Jun Akiyama kind of just starting the match off, setting the tone, doing some of his signature offense, and then just doing kind of quirky, borderline funny things in the bridging parts of the match. And I think this is going to be totally fun. To compare to guys who aren't super familiar with Jun's current work, when you look at some of the existing Japanese legends who still wrestle, like Minoru Suzuki, Satoshi Kojima, Yuji Nagata, and guys like that, I would say he's comparable in that he can have really fun matches just like them. And I'd actually think right now, like just right now, he's better than Suzuki and he's better than Yuji Nagata. I'd put him right there around like Kojima level, where like they can still do a lot of what they used to do at close speeds to their prime. They're obviously not quite as sharp as they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but still super viable, solid wrestling talents.
Mm-hmm.
Full gear. We do full gear, man. Akiyama, Eddie Kingston, get him on the card,
Absolutely.
What else can we look at, man? Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm, women's world title, interim world title. That whole situation is like
it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's ridiculous at this point, especially when like Thunder
the
Rosa's
real women's
literally came out in like podcast interviews, whatever, and said like she doesn't really have a solid timeline for when she's coming back. She's hoping maybe January, but she doesn't know that. Like, that's just a hopeful timeline, which it probably isn't going to be. It's like, let's take take the belt off her. Like, no, I love Thunder Rosa. I think she gets a lot of shit, but
I kind of feel bad for my stance on this match, which is like, it is not Tony Storm's fault, but it feels like you've got to go with Jamie Hayter here. And that kind of sucks because it means her whole reign would be as interim champ, and she's done nothing wrong. Actually, she's been kind of awesome as champ. But like, there is like an organic response to Jamie in like for the live crowds, and I think going against the grain would almost be, I think it'd be misplaced, man. Like they've like got with Jamie Hayter, live crowds, sort of, like. I think it's been very noticeable. Like even when she works heel in these tag matches, like the people only want to chant for her. And it's just, I think there's an opening here to go with someone. And it isn't Tony's fault. She's been awesome. She's killed it. But like, I just think you kind of have to go with a hot hand here because there's an opportunity to really, really establish someone who the audience is into. So that's where I'm at. I don't know.
I feel so bad because like you can argue that since Tony Storm being champ kind of rejuvenated the division and it's made it better. But at the same time, if she and I don't think she's going to get credit for it because when people look back, it's going to be like, well, she's the interim champ, so her record is
great. Yeah, I agree.
Her reign is not going to count on the record books. If you care about that kind of stuff, is like it kind of sucks. And then we're just going to have a whole other interim kind of thing where Jamie's just going to be holding it in place until Thunder Rosa comes back in. Hell, who knows when that's going to happen? So,
my concern would be, I think if you go against the grain with this, I think it could have a negative effect on Tony. You know? I think the audience is going to cheer Jamie. I could be completely wrong. This is all guesswork. We've not, the show's this weekend, but like, my read on the build is I think the audience can want to see Jamie win. And I think if you push back on that, you can actually do a disservice to your babyface.
Joe, you know what's funny? I think there's a couple matches on this card that are set to go in that direction where the fans kind of cheer who they cheer, and it's not necessarily who AEW wants them to cheer. That never really happens in AEW because Tony Khan is pretty good at reading where fans are with certain things outside of Cody Rhodes, even though that was a Cody thing. But MJF versus Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley's going to get booed in Newark, New Jersey. I'm just giving you guys a heads up. Don't act like it's a surprise when it happens. MJF is the hotter hand, and he doesn't get booed anymore. And the live fans are there to see something momentous and new and historic. So they're going to cheer a title change. So MJF is going to be cheered in that match. Going even deeper, Saraya versus Britt Baker. Britt Baker is going to be cheered. I'm not going to explain why because I already did on WrestlePurists' main podcast last week. But that's going to be another match where the heel gets cheered. So there's that. I'm very curious if that match goes before or after the Jamie Hayter match because I've seen a couple people in the chat point out that Britt Baker could cost Jamie. And it would be a bit of a hack move, but I could see AEW doing that before the Britt Saraya match to ensure that Britt gets booed against Saraya. But even that's almost like I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's terrible, but that'll be an example of fighting the tide, so to speak. You know what I mean? But I could still see it happening nonetheless. But yeah, it's just something I'm noticing with the card. There's a couple matches where I could just see the fans just kind of like picking a side that doesn't necessarily align with the side that AEW wants them to pick.
The MJF thing is so interesting. Like, I think that build is the best world title build they've done in like at least a year.
Really?
I honestly think it's so captivating. The reason is I don't know which way they're going. Like, genuinely, I could map out to you 4 different directions I think are interesting. I think it could be compelling if Moxley and Regal, they do the double turn and they leave it as heels. Okay. I think it could be compelling if Regal goes with MJF. Okay. I think it could be interesting if Max just actually fucking does it as a babyface and you're left with that kind of deal of, wait, what now? You know?
Okay.
Like, I just think, maybe not the best build. It's the most interesting build because I don't know where they're going. Now, that may mean that when it's done, I think I don't like where they ended up. That's different, right? But watching it play in real time, like for example, a year ago, Kenny and Hangman obviously had that epic build, but you knew what the end game was. That's part of why it worked, right? It was like you knew Hangman was going to get this belt. I can talk myself into like 4 different possibilities here, and I do think there's an argument that you just like, why stop them from cheering Max? Just have him fucking win. And that's kind of crazy to think about. Like, he just becomes like a kind of Rock-esque babyface that just talks shit as a hero. I don't know. Ben brings out the other option is Max just tries to win fair and loses and has to rebuild. Like, I just think there's so much on the table. I'm really into the main event build.
You know what?
Things
Joe,
where,
go ahead.
it's one of those things where you're saying, like, when you say it's the best world title storyline in like a year, like it's kind of like the Intercontinental thing. Like it sounds kind of like out there at first, but when you really think it through, so a year ago was Hangman and Omega. So anything after that, so Hangman went into a feud with Bryan that didn't see pay-per-view. Then he had the pay-per-view match with Adam Cole, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Better than that.
It's way better than that. Yeah.
The Punk feud was weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's very strange.
Always
even more so now in hindsight, especially more so in hindsight.
Yeah.
Then obviously Punk and Mox had its, you know what I mean? Punk was gone.
Oh man, that was awesome.
Here's what I'll say: the Punk Mox build is better to me in that like the on-screen stuff. See, here's the thing, Joe. You make a great point. There's a lot of different possibilities of what could happen at the pay-per-view, and very intriguing options. That's very true. It could go into multiple different directions from there. When it comes to an on-screen week-to-week television build, I preferred Mox and Punk, even though it was very condensed and they had to kind of shorten it and abbreviate it because of the timing. I do think what they did in Punk and Mox, the head-to-head promo, the pull-apart brawls, the squash match. Yeah, and I genuinely love that storyline. Like the pull-aparts, the promos, the squash match.
Go ahead, Manny. My bad.
I was gonna say, like, I think the Punk feud is a little bit better because, like, it doesn't really feel like MJF is feuding with Moxley. It feels like MJF is feuding with the Firm.
So I think you're right, but that's part of why I personally like it because it feels like we're exploring MJF the character. Does that make sense? Like in some ways, and I thought Mox promo did a beautiful job of this. He's basically the mountaintop. It doesn't matter who Mox is. He is the guy of which MJF's climb is against. And Mox did that wonderful deal where he like compared his path against Regal to what Max is doing against him. You know, and 2 years ago he sent him back. Now, can he overcome Mox? So to me, I actually like that. I think you're right. It's just, it's a taste thing. Like, I think Punk and Mox was great, but it was the condensed element was too much for me. It kind of made it. It felt like I needed time to breathe, and it jumbled it for me. So
you know what's interesting, great, Joe? You know what's interesting? I think there's a lot of aspects of this MJF stuff that he was planning to do with CM Punk.
I would agree. Yeah.
And if you guys noticed, when MJF first came back, he did kind of like the stock MJF shtick for a couple weeks. And some people were beginning to point out like, oh, this is just kind of the same old MJF stuff. I honestly feel like he was trying to recalibrate how he was going to apply some of the ideas that he was planning to explore with Punk on Moxley. I think that he had certain themes that he wanted to get into that he was like, okay, how can this apply to John and make sense for John? Because I was going to have this on Punk. And I think we began to kind of see that once he kind of rerouted it to where Regal was the person who, kind of caused him to, like the whole stuff with Regal about NXT and stuff like that, and kind of like the framing of this being the biggest match, one of the biggest matches in wrestling history, and Mox being the mountaintop and all that stuff. I think a lot of what MJF was going to explore as an individual character was going to be explored through Phil, and they just kind of know how to reroute it. And frankly speaking, to be totally fair to them, considering that this was not the planned program and it was going to be Punk and MJF, probably, I think they've done a really good job of like making it sensible and making it just interesting. And it is both of those things. I think just the disconnect to me is that as an on-screen program, it doesn't feel like that Mox versus Max feels like a super white hot thing. It feels like Max is white hot. The fans are just ready to see him win the title rather than there be this like intense heat between both men and you really wanting to see them fight, so to speak.
I have a scenario for you to throw out. Like, so say if they go into this match and MJF loses, what do you go from here? What do you go from, like, what do you do now? Because, like, do you do a second pay-per-view where you have the challenger have a rematch? Because I think this whole year has just been rematches of matches that happened the following. So I don't know how you would handle this whole MJF situation. Because you got to remember, too, that he's gonna start filming the Iron Claw soon too. So if he wins, he's not even gonna be on TV for a while.
I wonder.
So-
Yeah, I wonder
It
how that
might not
affects
even
his
be
schedule.
that deep though. Like he might be in
Yeah,
like two scenes, bro. Like, you know, so
I don't know, man. I've had my frustrations with Max for what you just said, Hangman. Like, I think he's capable of so much, and sometimes he can rely on the low hanging fruit.
yeah,
I'm just so intrigued by this moment in his career
Yeah,
because what he said on Wednesday about like this could be a moment in wrestling history. I
Mhm.
believe him. I think he's right. I think this is like for those of us that are in the bubble and watched Max on this show since the start, it's one thing. I think he's actually like on the precipice of actually blowing up here and becoming like a real star, like a real wrestling television star. Now, that's a big thing and that's a ways to go. And there's a lot fewer of them than we realize, those of us that watch the shows, you know. But like, I think he's over in a fashion that is striking. They will not boo him. And I say this to someone again who has had my issues. I'm not like a super fan or anything. I just think this is a really interesting moment in time where we'll see what they do with this. They have a guy who's red hot, who's young and fresh, and to the general wrestling fan is an AEW star first and foremost. Which, let's be honest, he ultimately is. Who cares about MLW, right? It's like, do they commit? Do they go with him? Does he go back to the dark side and we delay this moment? How do we handle this? He's like, this is the kind of shit.
You know what else is cool about it, Joe, is the fact that following the situation at All Out and CM Punk not being here and the Elite not being here, it almost felt like AEW was punched in the gut, so to speak, and they kind of had to like shake it off and figure out what they were going to do.
Yeah.
And in the process of doing so, it just felt like things within the company just got a lot colder when it comes to various programs and the television in general. I don't think anybody would tell you that this is like the greatest period AEW has ever had, right? But Max as an individual is ridiculously hot, right? And in the promo that he said last week, he talked about how like, one of the undertones was basically that like I'm the person to kind of save pro wrestling and take it back to the mainstream and stuff. And so what I think is an interesting dynamic here is the idea of Max being the guy to spearhead AEW riding the ship as an entire brand under him. So it's obviously not done on purpose because AEW is not going to be mid on purpose for the story of Max.
Right.
But I do think it's interesting that timing wise, he's doing this and he's saying these things and he's trying to be the guy winning the championship in a period where, the product is, I guess, more muted and at a lull compared to previous periods in the promotion's history, with the absence of so many key names. So
awesome, man. It's like,
it makes it very interesting.
He's been such a great villain that he's like suddenly finds himself, he could be the most unlikely hero of all,
Exactly.
Like he can lead AEW into this new. I just think and also what you just said, that's a familiar story for wrestling history, right? When guys become big stars, it's often because the person who was in that spot before is just gone. That's how wrestling works.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
That's why I never overreact when people leave here or go, because, trust me, Steve Austin's push would have looked a lot different if he had fucking Nash and Hall messing around with it. Like, guys leave and guys come up. And there's something happening here with MJF, and it's very compelling. And one other thing, we talk about Max a lot, and you were spot on, by the way, about it's definitely the ingredients of what he wanted to do with Punk just altered. But Regal and Moxley explored this idea of a villain with that feud in FCW, was it a decade ago now? So it's 11, 12. And Regal has always been fascinated by like playing with what that means, like a true villain. That coming into this feud and then playing around with that and this idea of like how MJF should behave. Should he take the easy way out? Should he be more ruthless? I just think it's great shit. And I totally get why not everyone's into it. The firm stuff is obviously divisive. I get it. I wasn't thrilled to see them leave them laying 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. But like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of ingredients here that are very interesting. I think, our conversation kind of shows it, right? Like we can talk out a lot of different stuff with this.
Absolutely.
It's good shit, man. To finish up two last things. We'll finish on Hangman's announcement, but first we'll do we gotta do Hooper of the Week. So
let's get to it.
So
I'm very mad Joe didn't bring up Bruce at all.
The video package from last week I can't play again because we got copyright strike for it. So I need to edit the music somehow. But
Montel, before we play the Hooper of the Week thing, just Play the clip of Roosh that I was going to use on Joe when he was going to bash.
In all the
Roosh.
decades and generations I've been in wrestling, this guy would fit in all of them. There's not one single generation that I was in that this guy wouldn't be a star.
No, he'd been.
Okay, now look, I want to be very clear about this because it's important. I am not bashing Roosh. I am complimenting Roosh because I know what's happened. And anyone that's watched these matches the last couple weeks knows what's happened too. We joked about it, but Roosh got that contract and said, well, this has been fun. Let me get that fucking cable wrapped around people's neck again. Let me kick the shit out of everyone and fucking... I mean, bro, in all seriousness, it's awesome. It's old school, but it's definitely happening. I refuse the notion it hasn't. Manny, do you see what I'm saying here?
No, I mean, the match was awesome. I mean, I watched. Okay, I saw the fight version where like you would say where he was stalling until like the commercial ended so he can do his stuff. So I understand that part, but I was just like, man, this guy rules because he was just doing his pose, going on top of the top turnbuckle and getting booed.
Bro, the cable spot he does it in every single match.
He
did it in Ring of Honor for 2-3 years. It's amazing. I love
how I was bringing up last time how they gave him a special color cord so he doesn't mess with the camera guys anymore.
If you look at where they position it, they literally just like drop it aimlessly at the side of the ring, so it's just there for him to grab. He doesn't even have to like retrieve or anything. It's fucking crazy.
Right, so we got no video for the Hooper of the Week, but we still got the graphic. It just never gets old, you know. Hooper of the Week is who Manny gives. You know, it's pretty in the name. Biggest Hooper.
Did you give this to Alexa Bliss last week when I was away? Did I miss that?
No, he didn't, man. He didn't.
I
He's
gave
a coward.
it to. I forgot who I gave it to.
Right, so this week,
man,
you want to lead into the first.
Okay, so this week I have two. One of them you can say is like not really a Hooper. It's just like me just popping myself. And it's Tony Christ is back. He killed Goliath with Hunter, and now he's booked 2 great matches that I'm excited for. You have Jeff Jarrett pointing at him.
When the more you look at it, the more weird things you know.
It's very abstract. It's just very, I don't know what's going on there.
This deserves some super chats, you know. This art right here. So get them in. Send them in.
I got out of work and I said last night. I got out of work at 11:30 and I said, "Shit, man, I need to come up with the Hooper of the Week." I didn't watch a lot of wrestling, and then this is the first thing that popped in my mind.
Look at Jeff.
And I made this graphic while I was in a Whataburger drive-through, and then so I literally only had like 10 minutes to make this, so I came up with it.
Wow.
So moving on,
and then the real Hooper of the Week, the American Dragon. With his Force Ghost of Morishima, Jesus Christ, and Regal.
Morishima!
Is that Agnologia from Fairy Tail?
Yeah.
Look at Morishima!
Why is Morishima in this picture?
I was trying to think of a ridiculous opponent I can put for a Force Ghost. And I didn't want to put Nigel, so I just put Morishima.
Manny is the craziest sober person I've ever seen.
Hooper of the Week, kids.
Yeah. That's the Hooper of the Week, everybody.
Hangman, do you want to one second, let me get rid of this.
Yeah.
Right, floor is yours, Hangman.
It's still on my. Okay, there we go. Guys, again, I appreciate. We have 142 people watching this live. This is more live viewers than the last WrestlePurists podcast, I believe. So really appreciate everybody watching this live. If you haven't liked the video, please like the video. We're at 67 likes and 144 viewers watching live. So please like the video if you have not. My announcement is pretty simple, guys. I appreciate everybody who's been supporting me and the channel. You guys are the reason why we've been able to grow and do so well, and we've now built this platform up to where we have so many just amazing, diverse personalities on the channel. and that's why we have so many successful podcasts. So I'm really proud of what we've been able to build here with WrestlePurists, and I'm happy to be one of the people who was here at the start. What you guys watched today was WrestlePurists Worldwide, and what you saw today was my last podcast for a while. I'm going to be stepping away for a little bit, taking some time off to recalibrate and figure some shit out. But yeah, man, it's kind of it. I'm just going to take a little bit of a break. I don't know how long it's going to be. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 2 months. But I will be back, and everything will be fine. Because we've built a really, really nice channel here, man. So yeah, that's kind of it.
Little hiatus.
Yeah.
Back up Hangman. He's been here from, I believe, was you on the very first podcast?
I think so.
He was on one of the first. He was on at least on one of the
pillars.
first 2 or 3. One of the pillars of WrestlePurists. He's one of the big draws, big following, big star on wrestling Twitter. But every now and again, he's worked a lot of matches this year, and he's allowed to. We'll give him some time off to, do what he needs to do. So yeah, man, a little hiatus. Hopefully he's back before too long, and
Yeah, we're fucked, man. We're gonna have like 50 people in here. 50 people after a day. We're fucked. But
No. In all seriousness, I'm fully confident that the channel's gonna be. That's the thing. I'm really happy that the channel doesn't need me to be WrestlePurist. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many good people a part of this project now. So, let's see. What did Jamie say? What am I gonna do with all these tomatoes I bought? Throw them in my honor while I'm gone, I guess. I don't know.
In all seriousness, even if we wasn't good without you, it's very, very important that you get yourself to a point where you want to talk about wrestling and stuff. Because like, I know exactly where you're at right now. Like, I've been there very, very regularly, and it's hard. And it's one of those things you don't want to talk about it too much, because it's just, you sound like, it's weird, right? You feel strange yourself saying it. It's like, why do I want to take a break from wrestling pop? But it's like, it wears you out, man. And I want you to just give yourself time. I don't want you to think about when you're back, when you'll know when, so just take your time, and we're waiting for you. We'll need you to draw us a house soon enough. So
do what you gotta do.
Super chats are killing me. I will say this. I'll say this. I probably will pop back in if something insanely drastic happens. But
yeah,
otherwise,
but you're not going to do like a host sort of thing.
No,
you might pop in for like 2 minutes to pop yourself or something.
Yeah, if something really fucking crazy happens, yeah, for sure. These chats are killing me. We have one here. It says, "Backup Hangman to what culture confirm." JK, respect. Bam, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate you. Rob said, "Need you to get surgery and be gone longer." Might, maybe, who knows? Possibly. Or Casey, did Hangman start a backstage fight? There are backstage fights for WrestlePurists every show, so it's kind of what makes WrestlePurists. Time to work on the women's division, Monty. That's true.
The women's division's cooking, man.
It's cooking. WrestlePurists Divas is this week, guys. So
it was supposed to be last week, but we had some.
We had to reschedule.
Double bookings and stuff going on. So,
absolutely.
The women's division's growing, always growing, getting stronger. I believe we've got the best in wrestling media, so I'll stand by that with everything that I am. But I'll be honest. But we don't want to lie to the audience, and the backup Hangman situation. He may or may not be appearing on the bump next week. So,
we're trying to be more open and available, unlike Tony Khan with the current situation.
We
more of an open dialogue place.
Yeah, backup Hangman obviously he was very open just now, and we saw kind of like the support coming from the chat, and it was like, I said in the private chat just now, like, we can't lie to these people, the good people.
Bro, you shouldn't joke, because there'll be people that actually watch the bump next week, like, where the fuck's Hangman?
We can't have these dirt sheets, making up fake stories about why Hangman isn't on TV anymore or on YouTube.
Someone in the chat asked if I'm still going to be on Twitter. For the time being, I will I will be on. I'm planning to slowly reduce my time on Twitter for just a little bit eventually, but But yeah, no, I'll still be on. You know, probably give my thoughts on things and shit. I'm planning on going hard on the WrestleMania main event series. That's something I'm still going to actively do, which is reviewing the Mania main event. So stay tuned for that if you care. But other than that, yeah, man. You know, Monty's trying to nail me with a no compete. You know,
Oh, he's all heart, nice one.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Back up, man. Hiatus. He'll be back when he's back.
Yeah.
He's going to find himself and host with Taylor Braxton for a while. I hope
Such
it goes well.
dicks, man. Can we not be sincere for one segment of this fucking podcast?
No, it would be WrestleMania.
Yeah, man. Raw's about to start. A few things I want to plug real quick. Literally just under an hour ago, we just released a feature on Ricky Dozan. It would have been his birthday today. I think he would have been 98. Obviously, he passed away in the 60s. He was, he was like the mentor to like Giant Baba and Antonio Inoki, and he's like credited as being like the father of like Japanese pure wrestling. So he's a very influential figure. And Jamie done a great job, kind of just doing like a recap and kind of a retrospective look at like his influence in his career. So if everyone can retweet like that and give it a read. If you're watching Raw, obviously give it a read tomorrow or whatever. But if you're not, give it a read now. All support for that feature will be massively appreciated. Obviously, it's our last tweet. Send Backup Hangman nice messages on his hiatus. Don't be too weird with him. There's a lot of weirdos in our mentions and stuff these days, so try not to be one of them. It would be nice. And yeah, man.
I want to thank Far 52222 in the chat. He said, "The wisdom of Backup Hangman will be missed during this hiatus." Thank you, Far. I try. What will happen?
And then he said this.
What do you say? One more time, guys. Yeah, honestly, I said this before. To me, I feel like the tomatoes, for the most part, it's like Kurt Angle's "You Suck." You know what I mean? So yeah, nah, man, go for it, man. Go for it. What will happen while I'm gone is everybody's gonna do really, really well. You know, I'm actually really excited to see, what new stars emerge, so to speak, on the channel, because that's usually what happens. It's always next man up. Smoke, thank you so much.
Yeah, man, we got anything else to plug before we get out of here? Joe, Manny, backup. My backups, you've just kind of plugged your WrestleMania series. Joe, I'm going to do a plug for you. Late Night Grin. Subscribe to that if you're a big fan of our good friend Joe and Manny. You see him pop up on there as well. True. If you like the more, laid back, pop yourself kind of wrestling content.
I felt so bad because Joe came back. I think it was Saturday and did his show, and then I was listening yesterday while I was at work, and I just kept hearing, "Did you see what Manny tweeted? Did you see what Manny said on the show? Did you see this?" And I'm just like,
accusations that Backup Hangman's lost his smile.
I also might do the same thing with I'm going to copy Hangman. I'm going to let him know right now his WrestleMania series, but just do Triple Mania and just watch the big shows from every past Triple Mania. But I got to find them first.
No, yeah,
you gotta do the welcome to the series tweets. You gotta do those, right?
Oh, Joe, you see those, right? When I welcome someone,
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
That's where I got the idea, because I said I'll pop myself if I see like a random like US wrestler pop up and I'll be like, "Hey, welcome."
Welcome to the review series.
Welcome to the series, Brian Cage.
Yeah, Brian Cage. What popped me was when I said welcome CM Punk to the review series at Mania 22 when he was the gangster in Cena's entrance.
Yeah. It's great stuff. But yeah, let's get out of there. Raw is literally starting as we speak. WrestlePurists.com. Obviously, like and subscribe. Appreciate all the super chats that have been sent. What else? Features, news, anything wrestling related. WrestlePurists.
Tune into Dumb Guy Live tomorrow.
Yeah, Don't Go Live tomorrow.
The best show on this website.
Don't Go Live tomorrow. Thursday is the WrestlePurists podcast. Friday is Unpurist. Saturday, I believe we are trying to plan a full gear post show, so that'll be something different. Then Sunday is the Divas podcast, so a jam-packed week. So yeah, get subscribing, support, and yeah, man, we'll catch you tomorrow for Dumb Guys Live. And yeah, everyone enjoy Raw or whatever else you're doing tonight. Peace.